Have you ever had a thought that just wouldn't leave? A worry that follows you from the moment you open your eyes in the morning to the moment you close them at night. A question that plays on a loop, a weight that sits on your chest, a problem that simply won't let you go. You've tried to outrun it. You filled your days with noise, with work, with distractions, hoping the silence wouldn't bring it back. You've analyzed it from every angle, trying to find a crack in the wall, a way out. You've done everything you can, and yet, there it is. Still. Present. Unmoved. This is a critical moment. This is where the soul is tested. Because when the problem refuses to leave, we are forced to ask ourselves a different question. We stop asking, how do I get rid of this? And we must start asking, what is this here for? Listen closely. That persistent ache in your heart, that situation you can't control, that person you can't change, that pain you can't shake, it is a caller. It is at the door of your consciousness, and it is demanding your attention not because it wants to destroy you, but because it wants to awaken you. You see, when everything is easy, we float on the surface of life. We become complacent. But a problem that won't let go. It's a weight. And a weight, my dear soul, is what anchors you. It pulls you down, yes, but it pulls you down so you can feel the ground, so you can find your footing. It pulls you into the depths, where your faith is either a flicker or a flame. You have been looking at this problem as a barrier between you and peace. But what if it is the path? What if the anxiety you feel is just the friction of your will pushing against the divine current? You want the problem to go, but he wants you to grow. You want relief, but he wants reliance. And so, this isn't a speech about how to make the problem disappear. This is a speech, a reflection, for the one who is tired. For the one whose hands are tired of trying. For the one who has realized that their own intellect has reached a dead end. Because it is at this dead end, in this silence where your own solutions fail, that a profound truth emerges. You were never the one who could fix it. You were only ever the one who could endure it. And he is the one who will carry you through it. The problem that won't let you go isn't your enemy. It is the faithful companion that will not abandon you until you find your way back to him. It's a gift in disguise, pushing you to the very edge of your own capability, so you can finally, let go and fall into the infinite mercy that has been waiting for you all along. Don't resent the wait. Embrace the wrestle. Because that persistent question, that unyielding pressure, it is the very thing that will lead you to the only answer that will ever satisfy your soul. The persistent whisper. This is the first and most crucial key to understanding the problem that will not let you go. When a worry, a grief, or an unresolved situation keeps circling back into your mind, it is not a glitch in your system, and it is certainly not a sign of weak faith. It is a whisper, and all whispers have a source and a purpose. The problem that refuses to leave the perimeter of your thoughts is not a random misfortune that happened to bump into you. It is a deliberate caller at the door of your heart, one that has been given permission to knock until you finally open the door, not with frustration, but with awareness. You have been treating this persistent thought as an intruder, something to be shoved away, silenced, or medicated into numbness. But what if the very thing you are trying to escape is the very thing that holds the key to your liberation? Think about the nature of a whisper. A whisper is not loud enough to force you to hear it, but it is also not silent enough for you to ignore it. It sits in that sacred space between oblivion and overwhelming noise, and it requires one thing from you: attention. The problem that won't let you go is exactly that. It is not screaming at you with the chaos of a sudden tragedy, nor is it quietly fading into the background of your daily routine. It lingers. It hovers. It returns at the most unexpected moments, in the stillness of the night, in the quiet of your commute, in the pause between your daily prayers. And this lingering quality is not a curse, it is an invitation. It is an invitation to stop running. You have been running from this thought for weeks, perhaps months, even years. You have buried it under busyness, drowned it in entertainment, and masked it with temporary pleasures. But every time you think you have finally outrun it, you turn around and there it is, standing right behind you, patient and unwavering. That is the nature of a problem that has been assigned to your soul. It will not abandon you until you have extracted the lesson it was sent to deliver. And so, the first step toward peace is not to silence the whisper, but to lean into it. To stop seeing it as an enemy and start seeing it as a messenger. The messenger may carry difficult news, uncomfortable truths, or painful realities, but the messenger is not the one who created the message. The message comes from a place of wisdom that is far greater than your limited understanding. When you begin to shift your perspective in this way, the whisper transforms. It is no longer a tormentor, it becomes a teacher. Every time the thought returns, instead of reacting with panic or frustration, you can pause and ask, what are you trying to show me? Is this an attachment I need to release? Is this a fear I need to face? Is this a flaw in my character that requires correction? Is this a person I need to forgive, including myself? The whisper is persistent because the lesson is urgent. It will not leave you alone because your soul is ready for the next level of growth, and this problem is the very staircase you must climb. You may feel that the problem is holding you back, but in reality, it is holding you steady. It is a weight that prevents you from drifting into heedlessness. It is a rope that keeps you tethered to reality when your ego wants to float away into delusion. And most profoundly, it is a constant reminder of your dependence on the one who is above all things. When the whisper persists, it drives you to your knees. It breaks your arrogance. It humbles your certainty. And in that brokenness, you find the door to divine proximity that you would never have found in times of ease. So do not wish for the whisper to stop. Wish instead for the wisdom to hear what it is truly saying. The problem that won't let you go is not your undoing, it is your awakening. It is the persistent mercy of a creator who loves you too much to let you sleep through your own life. The whisper is not the problem, your resistance to it is. And the moment you stop resisting, the moment you welcome it as a guide, rather than a foe, you will realize that it was never a chain around your neck. It was a hand gently pulling you toward the light. You are not defined by the problem, you are defined by your response to it. This is the second key, and it is perhaps the most liberating realization you will ever encounter in your journey with the persistent weight that will not release you. For so long, you have allowed this problem to become your identity. You have said to yourself, I am an anxious person, or, I am someone who is struggling, or, I am trapped in this situation. You have wrapped the problem around you like a heavy cloak, and you have begun to believe that the cloak is who you actually are. But this is a profound error, a mistake that keeps you shackled to the very thing you wish to escape. The problem is an event, a circumstance, a condition, but it is not you. You are the soul that is witnessing the problem, the consciousness that is aware of its presence, and that awareness is infinitely greater than anything that could ever happen to you. The moment you separate your essence from your circumstances, you reclaim your power. The problem may have entered your life without your permission, but your response to it is entirely your own territory, a domain that no external force can invade unless you grant access. Consider the nature of a test. A test is not designed to reveal what you already know about yourself, it is designed to reveal what you are made of. The problem that lingers is a testing ground, a crucible where your true character is forged and displayed. And here is the beautiful truth, you have been given complete sovereignty over your inner realm. You cannot always control what happens to you, but you have absolute authority over how you interpret it, how you carry it, and how you ultimately respond to it. This is the dignity that has been bestowed upon you as a human being. The external world may toss you into storms, but your internal world is your sanctuary, your command center, and your response is the flag you plant in the midst of chaos. When you react with panic, resentment, or despair, you are allowing the problem to define you. You are telling yourself and the world that this situation has the power to diminish you. But when you respond with patience, with trust, with active surrender, and with unwavering hope, you are announcing that the problem is merely a visitor in your life, not the owner of your soul. And this is where the shift in perspective becomes your salvation. The problem is a lens, not a mirror. It does not reflect who you are, it filters how you see the world. If you look through the lens of fear, everything appears threatening. If you look through the lens of gratitude, even the hardship reveals its hidden contours of mercy. The very same situation that breaks one person becomes the catalyst that elevates another, and the difference is not in the intensity of the situation but in the response that is chosen. The Prophet's companions faced unimaginable trials, yet their responses transformed those trials into testimonies of faith that continue to inspire generations. They understood that the pain was not their identity was grounded in something unshakable, something that transcended the fleeting conditions of this world. You too are invited into this understanding. The problem that won't let you go is not a label to be worn, it is a question to be answered with your character. Every time the thought returns, you are given a fresh opportunity to choose your response. Will you meet it with bitterness or with acceptance? With complaint or with trust? With paralysis or with action? These choices accumulate into the story of your life, and that story is not about what happened to you, it is about who you became in the process. The problem is temporary, but the person you become through your response to it is eternal. So stop asking why this is happening to you and start asking what this is calling forth from you. The answer will reveal that you are far greater than any challenge that dares to approach you. Your response is your freedom, your response is your witness, and your response is the only thing that will be asked about when all problems have faded into the memory of a dream. True relief begins not when the problem is solved, but when you stop fighting the reality of the moment and surrender to the one who holds the solution. This is the third key, and it requires you to unlearn everything you have been taught about control and victory. You have been conditioned to believe that peace is the reward for fixing what is broken, that relief is the prize for finally resolving the issue that has been tormenting you. But this belief has trapped you in a cycle of endless exhaustion because the problem keeps returning, the solution keeps eluding you, and the relief keeps retreating further into the distance. You have been fighting with all your strength, using every resource, exhausting every strategy, and yet the weight remains. And in your exhaustion, you have begun to believe that you are failing. But what if the failure is not in your inability to solve the problem, but in your insistence on solving it at all? What if the problem was never meant to be solved by you in the first place? This is the radical shift that the persistent whisper is trying to guide you toward, the shift from fighting to surrendering, from controlling to trusting, from relying on your own limited power to relying on the limitless power of the one who is Al-Qadir, the all-powerful, Al-Alim, the all-knowing. Surrender is not defeat, it is the highest form of strength. It is the strength to admit that your hands are too small to carry this weight alone. It is the courage to acknowledge that your intellect has reached its ceiling and that beyond that ceiling lies a wisdom that you cannot comprehend but can fully trust. Surrender is the moment you stop beating against the walls of your circumstance and instead turn your face toward the sky, opening your palms not to demand but to receive. The problem that won't let you go is a lesson in powerlessness, but powerlessness is not the end, it is the beginning of divine intervention. When you finally accept that you cannot change what has happened, that you cannot force someone else to be who you need them to be, that you cannot control the outcome of your efforts no matter how perfectly you execute them, you arrive at a sacred emptiness. And it is in this emptiness that God's mercy can pour in without obstruction. Your resistance has been the only barrier between you and relief, not the problem itself. You have been gripping so tightly, desperately trying to rearrange the pieces of your life, and in doing so, you have closed your hands to receive the peace that was already being offered. Imagine a child who is frightened by a storm outside. The child tries to stop the rain, tries to silence the thunder, tries to command the wind to be still. But the more the child struggles, the more terrified and exhausted the child becomes. Then the parent calls out, "Come inside. Stop fighting the storm. Just come into my arms." The problem is the storm, and you have been standing in the rain, soaked and shivering, trying to control the weather. But your Father, your Creator, is calling you inside. He is not calling you to a place where the storm does not exist, He is calling you to a place where the storm no longer has power over you because you are sheltered in His care. Relief does not come when the thunder ceases, relief comes when you stop fearing the thunder and start resting in the embrace that surrounds you. The problem may remain, but your relationship to it transforms completely because you are no longer carrying it alone. You have handed it over, not as a defeat, but as a trust. You have said, "I have done all that I can, and now I leave the rest to you." This is the surrender that the persistent whisper is guiding you toward, the surrender that unlocks the door to a peace that surpasses all understanding. And here is the beautiful secret: when you truly surrender, when your heart accepts that the outcome belongs to God and not to you, the problem no longer holds the same weight. It may still be present, but it no longer crushes you because you are no longer trying to lift it. You are carried, and in that carrying, you find the relief you have been chasing for so long. It was never in the solution, it was in the surrender all along. The problem that lingers is often a veil over a greater mercy, a shield from a greater harm, or a bridge to a deeper connection. This is the fourth key, and it asks you to look beyond the surface of your pain and into the hidden dimensions that your limited vision cannot yet perceive. You have been staring at this problem as if it were a wall, solid and immovable, blocking your path to happiness and peace. But what if the wall is not an obstacle? What if it is a curtain, and behind the curtain lies a mercy so vast that your current suffering will one day seem like a small price for what you have received? You judge the problem by its immediate appearance, by the discomfort it brings, by the tears it has caused, but you are judging a book by its cover while the most profound chapters remain unread. The problem that refuses to leave your side is not random, it is purposeful, and its purpose is often to protect you from something you cannot see, to prepare you for something you cannot imagine, or to draw you closer to something you have been neglecting. consider the possibility that this persistent weight is actually a shield. You may be begging for it to be removed, but what if its removal would expose you to a harm far greater than what you are currently enduring? You ask for the difficult colleague to be transferred, but that colleague may be the very instrument keeping you from a workplace that would destroy your character. You ask for the financial hardship to end, but that hardship may be protecting you from the arrogance and spiritual decay that wealth often brings. You ask for the illness to be healed, but that illness may be the only thing keeping your heart soft and your prayers sincere. You see only the discomfort of the shield pressing against your skin. You do not see the arrow that would have pierced your heart had the shield not been there. The Creator knows what you do not know, and His wisdom is not subject to your limited understanding. He does not give you the problem to punish you. He gives you the problem to protect you, and the protection is often hidden so deeply within the pain that you cannot recognize it until much later, when the veil is lifted and you finally see the full picture. Furthermore, this problem is a bridge. It is a bridge to a deeper connection with the divine that you would never have crossed in times of ease. Think about your moments of greatest spiritual closeness. Are they not often the moments when you were most broken, most desperate, most stripped of your own illusions? The problem that won't let you go is the bridge that carries you from the shore of self-sufficiency to the shore of absolute need. Without this bridge, you would remain on the other side, satisfied with your own efforts, complacent in your own abilities, and distant from the one who is the source of all strength. The problem is not keeping you from God, it is pulling you toward Him with an intensity that nothing else could achieve. Every time the worry returns, it is an opportunity to turn your face toward the heavens and whisper His name. Every time the anxiety tightens its grip, it is a reminder that only He can loosen it. Every time the tears fall, they are washing away the dust of heedlessness from your heart. The problem is the pathway, and the destination is intimacy with your Creator. Do not despise the bridge simply because the crossing is difficult. The other side holds a closeness that you could never have reached by any other route. And finally, this problem is a veil, but a veil is not permanent. It is a covering that will be removed at the appointed time, and when it is, you will see the mercy that was always there, hidden in plain sight. You will see that the delayed marriage protected you from a union that would have brought you misery. You will see that the lost opportunity opened a door you never knew existed. You will see that the broken heart was the very thing that made yours capable of receiving divine love. The veil is not your enemy, it is your teacher, and its lesson is patience. So do not demand that the veil be lifted before you are ready to see. Trust that the timing is perfect, that the mercy is certain, and that the problem that won't let you go is, in reality, the very thing that is leading you home. In the chaos, the anchor is not your ability to fix things, but your certainty that He is closer to you than your own jugular vein. This is the fifth and final key, and it is the bedrock upon which all other understanding must rest. You have been searching for stability in the wrong places, clinging to your own plans, your own logic, your own efforts, as if they could somehow hold you steady against the raging tides of this persistent problem. But you have discovered, perhaps painfully, that your plans shift like sand, your logic fails when you need it most, and your efforts exhaust you without delivering the peace you crave. The anchor you have been seeking is not in your hands, it is in His. And the anchor is not a solution to the problem, it is a certainty in the one who holds the problem and holds you at the same time. This certainty is not a feeling, it is a knowing that transcends the ups and downs of your emotional state. It is the unshakable conviction that no matter how dark the night becomes, the sun of divine mercy has not set and will never set upon you. It is the profound awareness that the same Creator who fashioned the heavens and the earth, who knows the number of every leaf that falls and every breath you take, is intimately aware of your struggle and is actively involved in your journey. You may feel alone in your suffering, as if no one truly understands the weight you carry. The friends around you offer sympathy, but they cannot enter your heart and feel your pain. The family members try to help, but their solutions often miss the mark. And in your isolation, you begin to believe that you are navigating this storm entirely by yourself. But this is an illusion, a trick of the mind that distracts you from the closest companion you could ever have. He is closer to you than your own jugular vein. This is not a poetic metaphor, it is a reality that should shape every moment of your existence. The jugular vein is the lifeline of your physical body, the vessel that carries blood from your heart to your brain, and it is so deep within you that you cannot touch it, cannot see it, cannot even feel it unless you press deeply into your neck. And yet, His proximity to you is even closer than that. He is nearer to you than your own heartbeat, closer than your own breath, more present than the very thoughts that trouble your mind. The problem that won't let you go is not a barrier between you and Him, it is the very space where His closeness becomes tangible. When everything else falls away, When all human support diminishes, when your own strength evaporates, you are left with nothing but Him, and that nothing is everything. This certainty is your anchor because it does not depend on your circumstances. The storm may rage, the waves may crash, the wind may howl, and the problem may persist, but the anchor holds because it is fixed in a realm that is untouched by the chaos of this world. Your ability to fix things will fluctuate. Some days you will feel capable, and other days you will feel utterly helpless. But His closeness is constant. It does not increase or decrease based on your performance. It does not waver when you make mistakes. It does not withdraw when your faith feels weak. It is always there, always present, always waiting for you to simply turn your awareness toward it. The anchor is not about finding answers, it is about finding rest in the presence of the one who has all the answers. It is about ceasing your frantic efforts to control the uncontrollable and instead resting in the arms of the one who holds the heavens and the earth. When you anchor yourself in this certainty, the problem loses its power to terrify you. It may still be there, but you are no longer adrift in the sea of your own anxiety. You are moored to a reality that is unshakable, and from that place of security, you can face whatever comes with a calm that the world cannot give and cannot take away. So let the problem remain if it must. Let the question go unanswered for now. Let the situation unfold as it will. You are anchored, and that anchor will not drag. He is with you, closer than your own pulse, and that is more than enough.